Welcome to the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast, where we remember a time when stacks of cards were held together with rubber bands and Mickey mantles were put in bike spokes. We hope you will enjoy and reminisce as you come along with us as we tell stories about the baseball cards from the Golden Age of Baseball. We will examine the state of the vintage baseball card market and talk to some of the greatest collectors in the hobby. You won't be hearing us talk about any chrome or shiny cards here. Now, to take you on this retrospective journey, here's your host, direct from the shallow end of the gene pool, my son, Mike Moynihan.
Yo, and hello, everybody. Mike here. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast. We are, early July. We are getting really close, 3 weeks away from the National starting. I am so looking forward to that. Right at the get-go, I want to make sure that everybody out there knows that there's a get-together that's going to be happening that I'm kind of loosely organizing. It's basically just to come hang out a certain period of time. Different content creators will be there, both on YouTube, podcasters, and people that just watch content. So if you're listening to this, you're invited, and we'd love you to be there. That's going to be Thursday night of the National in Chicago at the Embassy Suites, right across the street from the convention center. You walk in, there's a lobby there, and then kind of around the corner are some stairs you go up, and there's a huge, I guess it's the 1.5 floor. It's not the second floor, really. It's a half floor, huge open area, great for just chilling and talking, and tables you can sit at and hang out, and there's a bar, and we'll just have a great time. So if you can be there, would love you to be there. Really excited about my episode today. This is going to be kind of a cornucopia of topics, I would guess. It's one of my favorite people in the hobby because he's so knowledgeable. He's just chill. And we just happen to get along very well. And it's Chris Sewall, baseball collector, investor, dealer, in that order. Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's up, man?
Welcome back to the good old US of A.
Thank you. Yeah.
Glad to have you back.
This is my first time being on screen in the States.
You're welcome. Glad to get you rolling with that.
Yeah.
We talked beforehand. We've got a lot to talk about. Let me ask you about the National first. Are you excited? It's getting close.
Obviously, I'm excited. Yeah, it's my favorite show of the year. Of course, can't wait. I'll be there all 5 days. I'll be at the Thursday event. What's the event called you're hosting again? I forgot the title.
I don't know that I have a title. It's more of just a content creator get together, mix and mingle. I don't know what you want to call it. It's just an opportunity for people to hang out.
I'll be at the Thursday night content creator get together, mix and mingle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you need to mention it on your show, because you have, 10x the subscribers that all the rest of us have.
I certainly will. Yeah, I'll be doing a couple national preview episodes.
Yeah, we'll get that out there because there could be 20 people there. There could be 200. I don't know. And it'll be fun no matter what. So
yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that want to shake your hand and say hello.
That would be cool.
Take a selfie with you.
Yeah, I've received 3 autograph requests in my career now.
All right,
that is so much fun.
You need to get some custom cards made.
Yeah, somebody had a custom card made of me, and I signed it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into some topics.
Before that, I want to ask you, because every time I watch the intro, and you've probably told the story on your channel, but I've never heard it. What's the story of your dad and you guys collecting together? How did that,
Yeah, so that is really my dad doing the intro. He's got a face for radio like his son, and he he is the reason I'm in the hobby, and that's really on 2 fronts. Not because he ever collected cards, he didn't. He was in sports television when I was a kid. He ran camera for Rangers, Cowboys, Mavericks, Stars. So I would go with him all the time to the ballpark or to the arena or whatever, and got to work a lot of those games as a 12 to 16-year-old. And so it was a great childhood for a kid that loves sports. The sports nut in my family is actually my mom. believe it or not.
Okay.
And she grew up huge Cowboys fan, Rangers fan. And so it, of course, rubbed off on me. Played sports all growing up. And I have a twin brother, and we played together all the time. And so it was just, but my dad's a collector. He collects tools, and he's a huge woodworker. And so that collecting bug, I do believe, is genetic. And so it definitely passed on to me being a collector. But now we get to share. Like, I get to build stuff with my dad, with his passion coinciding and dovetailing with my passion. No pun intended. We actually do use dovetail joints a lot on different things we make together. We're currently, in fact, I'm going today to his house to work on the next project of a huge comic book custom case that we're building. So it's never ending. And to combine those things with my dad is always a good thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Very cool.
So yeah, that's the story there. And if you've already heard it before, you get to hear it again. Never bad to hear that again.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one question I get all the time is, Mike, how do I get started in vintage? Where should I start? It's a huge world out there of vintage. Do you ever get that question?
I get that question a lot, both vintage and just collecting in general, but with vintage a lot. It's a hard one to answer, right? I mean, the whole point of collecting is to collect what you like, what you enjoy. And so I can't tell you what you're going to enjoy, but I guess in theory we can, you can be sort of pushed into vintage, which I generally try to, hey, try some vintage here and there. Most people get into the hobby collecting modern, and I like to say, yeah, collect modern if that's what you like, but just once in a while buy a vintage, see if it sticks and something you might like your team, but just try it and then see if it sort of sticks with you and you end up going there. But big picture, it's impossible to answer, to tell somebody what they should collect. But
yeah, it's so unfair to put that on anyone else to try to tell you what to collect or even suggest what to collect. I had a guy literally ask me yesterday, I want to break into the mantle world. Where should I start? I'm like,
you got a lot of wherever you want.
No, I mean, the answer I gave him was, buy a couple of 60s, stuff, because it's usually less expensive. You can dabble in that. And if it's something that you like, keep going. The big thing is, most people, if you go down a road and you don't like it, you always sell it. And I'm just not that way. I'm probably broken in that way. I probably need some therapy to help cure that. But yeah. I'm just kind of this hoarder. Like I don't look back and think I've made mistakes in the way I've collected in terms of what I liked and what I've done. I don't look at it as a mistake. I look at it as a learning process, right?
For sure. Well, so how long have you been collecting for?
Since 81 straight. 81, so 42 years.
40 years plus. So I mean, it's not, if you don't sell at all, and I know you've told me in the past you don't sell really at all, or maybe a little bit, but
only dupes. Only if I have, like, I buy a card accidentally twice, which has happened more often than not.
But okay, but do you ever get like a collection of 70s commons or something that is just sitting in your closet that you don't do anything with, or like how hoarding has it got? How bad has it got?
Not like that. Like if I first of all, I don't buy a whole lot of collections unless it's for chasing cardboard, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
And in that case, it's more Ty and Matt sell everything, and I get to kind of pick what I want for my collection that I want to keep. I don't just buy stuff just to buy it. I buy it because it fits something within my collection. It's a Hall of Famer. It's a autograph I want, something like that. So I don't run into the problem where I'm accumulating things that don't have a place.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think the problem is that when it's the opposite, you've bought something and then it goes in your closet and there's no reason to ever look at it again. That happened to me because I was a pure collector, hardcore for 15 years, we'll say, before sort of switching into the dealer realm. And yeah, at that 15-year mark, there were just closets of cards I would never look at, and there was no reason to ever look at. They didn't fit into any specific collection. And that's what happens when you're a collector for 15 years. You accumulate that much. So if it sounds like you haven't really gotten there because you're a more targeted collector, which is
the targeting helps.
Yeah.
But I have definitely accumulated things that I'm like going, wow, I have 52 Brooks Robinson autographs. You know, do I really need 52, whatever, however many it is, you know? And it's like a little bit of a problem, but I don't get rid of the other 51. You know, do you need more than one really? And the answer is, for me, I don't have a reason to sell. It's not like I need the money necessarily. That's not a ego thing. That's just a reality for me. And you know, it's my dogs are going nuts behind me. I don't know what's going on.
Your dog doesn't agree with you. He's like, dude, you got to get rid of those Brooks Robinsons.
Yeah, they're definitely. Let me see if I can text my wife and say, have her get the dogs out of here.
How many dogs do you have?
2.
Yeah, okay.
Jeez.
What ages?
What's that?
What ages are they?
Oh, they're young. Norman is the most famous dog on YouTube. But we just got a new dog, Claire, and so they now that they're like, Norman wouldn't bark like that normally by himself, but they get each other going, you know.
Yeah.
So, oh gosh, that's fun. Okay. So going back to how people get started, right? And I always tell people, it's like, okay, what team do you like? What is there a player you like? Is there an area like? Is there a particular set that appeals to you? You know, if you like 56 tops, start collecting 56 tops.
Absolutely,
you know? Yeah. And for a long time, I wasn't a set builder I just felt like, why buy all these commons that I don't really care about, you know, just to have them. That seems silly. I've kind of changed my tune. I kind of like having the sets, but only if I can put them in a binder where I can actually look at them. If they're just random in a box, that kind of is pointless to me. So I go after Hall of Famers and that kind of stuff. That, again, if you can narrow your focus, it makes the world of vintage a lot less daunting and a lot less intimidating, because it can be intimidating.
I think it's the case with any collect. That's the same, can be applied to modern or anything.
Sure.
You know, in vintage, it's endless, right? You'll never get every card. I always personally enjoyed, more recently, I enjoy the collector side of me enjoys the chase more than the holding. So like, I love putting a set together. I find that really fun. But once I have the set, I don't really feel the need to keep it.
Interesting.
There's exceptions to that, but for example, like with set building, that's a good example for set building. But yeah, I mean, there's certain things I obviously keep, but a lot of me is just sort of the chase of it.
Well, Jim Beckett gave me advice one time years ago, and he said, build a great collection for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that can be true no matter who you are or what your budget is. And, you know, you don't have to have a big budget to collect vintage. You just need to build a collection that you enjoy. And don't be afraid. Don't follow my advice. Don't be afraid to get rid of things if you decide down the road that, you know, I've gone down this project or whatever path, and it doesn't do it for me anymore. I think a lot of collectors are afraid to get rid of it. They don't know that they'll get all their money back, et cetera, et cetera. Move on.
Move on. You collect, you know, your collecting preferences evolve as they should. I mean, what I collected in the 90s I don't have any interest in that anymore. There was one point I had like 10,000 Cal Ripken cards. They were all worth 10 cents each, 25 cents each. I have no desire to own 10,000 quarter, 10-cent Cal Ripken cards anymore. But there was a time when that's all I wanted. I just wanted bulk Cal Ripkens. I wanted to be able to sort them and resort them and sort them by year and sort them by brand, and then whatever, and resort them again and get as many as I could of the same card. Look, I have 100 copies of this 91 Fleer. Today I have no interest in that. And yeah, so at some point I moved on, and that's fine. That's part of the game.
Yeah, there's definitely a life cycle of a collector. I used to use the word evolution as well, But some people in comments said, well, that means that, are you saying that other people are unevolved or that they're dumb or whatever? And the answer is no. But my point is your tastes just change over time. You mature in the hobby, you kind of see more, you get exposed to more, and then more stuff starts to appeal to you. You kind of just have this life cycle. We all start, like you said earlier, collecting. I collected in the 80s. I collected the players that were playing in the 80s, Buddy Bell and Jim Sundberg and Rangers and
Buddy Bell,
Don Mattingly's and, Alvin Davis rookies and, just
Davis rookie. Wow. Good one.
Yeah, that's right. Good reference.
Is he 85?
Doc Gooden, those kinds of things. Like that's where I started. And then I always liked vintage, and I just evolved as a collector. Both you evolve in your tastes and you kind of change in your ability to, we all get more discretionary income ideally as we grow older and mature in our careers and kids get out of the house, etc. You're like, oh, I can now buy that card that I couldn't buy when I was 12. Right.
For sure.
So I think you just kind of change, and that change is okay. I would tell people just embrace that. Don't be afraid of it. Just embrace it. So
yeah, absolutely. And not everybody changes. You don't have to change it. Evolve doesn't mean like you're getting better. It just means you're changing. Yeah, I think most people do change, and embrace it. And I think we've talked about this, I think on the last time I was on, I think not everybody, but a lot of people start with modern and then slowly drift. The longer you're in, you sort of drift towards vintage and have more appreciation for it. And as you understand the history of cards and maybe the sports as well. I think that's a natural evolution. Not everybody has to do it and does, but I think it's a cool evolution. It's one that I definitely went through, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, a lot of people do. Doesn't mean, like you said, you have to. Are you targeting any vintage stuff at the National? Do you go to the National targeting stuff, or you just kind of wing it, whatever comes to you?
I specifically do not target anything, but I remember I'm really going with a dealer mentality to the National. I'm looking to buy large chunks of stuff at a discount. If I'll usually buy one or two cards for my PC. My PC at this point is strictly Hall of Fame rookies, and 90% vintage, a few modern, but for the most part vintage. And so if there's one I see at a good price in a strong grade, I'll consider getting a couple, or if there's like an upgrade to one I already have, but in a better grade, I'll do that. But I definitely do not target anything specifically. I intentionally do not target something specifically, because then I end up with tunnel vision. I like to keep my options open.
Yeah. What are a couple of rookies that you would like to add that you don't have currently?
Oh, there's many. I mean, I'll just, for some reason, the first one that came to my head was a Joe Morgan rookie. I don't have. I had at one point I had every '60s Hall of Famer rookie in a pretty solid grade, but I just randomly didn't have a Joe Morgan, so that was one. If I see a nice one at a good price, I'll look into picking that up. But there's probably 100 that I could name. I mean, because anyone I even already have, I would be open to upgrading it if it made sense.
Slabbed or raw?
Everything's slabbed, yeah. And PSA preferred, but SGC is acceptable too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting you talk, like, I'm not an upgrader. Like,
you're not an upgrader. Okay.
Once I have a card,
really, yeah.
I move on to the next thing,
Yeah.
And I get a lot of questions like, well, what's that? What if you bought the new one and sold it? I don't want to. I got plenty of other stuff I want to buy that I don't own at all. So maybe someday I become an upgrader,
No,
but
I have a lot of respect for your collecting strategy. I find it very cool, very well thought out, and not a lot of people. I think it's very, I don't know, advanced, for lack of a better word. I consider you like an advanced collector, and I don't think a lot of people have gotten there. Yeah, you're very targeted. You don't need, the flashy thing that everybody would say. I think that's very cool.
I think that's just from time. Obviously, experience is time, and then learning from mistakes. Like, I've made plenty. Like, I'm far from
mistakes are good, right? Mistakes are good. You learn from them. You don't learn from your wins. You learn from your losses.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't want to fail. They don't want to make a mistake. Which is why they ask questions of people like us that have been doing this for a long time, and they're new in the hobby. They're like, I don't want to. Basically, they don't say this overtly, but it's, I don't want to make a mistake. So tell me what to do to minimize and mitigate the chance that I screw up. And I can't, and I really don't want to save you from that. You need to learn that on your own. It's like our kids, right? You need to go make mistakes.
Yeah, you got to mess up, man.
Yeah,
it's
okay
good. It's good to mess up if you learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, okay. So nothing targeting at the National. Joe Morgan rookie. So
what about you? What are you targeting?
I've got I want a Pee Wee Reese rookie. I don't have that yet. That's kind of a card that I'm.
Play ball?
What's it? Yeah, 41 play ball. I definitely don't go in. There's every national, pretty much every show I go to, the more open-minded I am about things speak to me. And I buy things that I love that if I was like you said, had that tunnel vision, I might have just ignored because I'm looking for these other things. And, a Red Man tobacco card or a this or that, whatever. I just like cool cards. And that's kind of the mindset I like to go in. My favorite day of the National, I've talked about this plenty, is Wednesday and early Thursday, because I feel like everything's, it hasn't been picked through yet. It's kind of all available. And if I'm looking for a Pee Wee Reese rookie, let's say, I'll have however many are there will be there, Wednesday. They haven't been bought and things. I would love a DeLong, 33 DeLong Gehrig. That's kind of my
little pricey.
Little pricey. I need a bunch of 50 Bowman Hall of Famers for some reason, your
Hall of Fame one, you're missing a bunch.
Yeah, on 50 Bowman. And
does your Hall of Fame run go back to 50 or 48?
50.
50. Okay, you don't go to. You didn't want to include the Leaf.
Well, I buy rookies.
Yeah.
Pre 50. And kind of post-war. Like, I guess technically Reese is pre-war, but that's just been a card that, it's different set registries, and I'm a slave to the set registry. I've admitted it. I own that. And I like the completion part of that. I like the checklist part of it, the slight competitiveness of that. I'm always looking for press steals that I need, and, different autographs. That's the great thing about having a broad yet targeted collection, is there's always something to look for. And I can zig and zag, if I get tired of looking for certain things, I can always, there's plenty other little projects that I have going.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting that your favorite day is Wednesday, or you said Wednesday and Thursday, which makes perfect sense. My favorite day is Sunday, which I'm going to guess is your least favorite day.
I never even stay I leave Saturday because I don't need to stay for Sunday.
Yeah. For me on Sunday, dealers are looking to dump stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you're looking for a 41 Pee Wee Reese, you're not going to you're much more likely to find it on Wednesday than Sunday.
Right.
But if you're looking to buy out a quarter box at, a nickel a card, it's much more likely to happen on Sunday.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about the show, depending on your perspective. And you might be both of those, right?
Yeah. Right.
You might be looking for cards that you want to add, and then adding inventory if you're a dealer or flipper or whatever. Then Sunday's your day. So that's the cool thing. There's kind of something for everybody.
Yeah.
I think they're going to see dumping of wax this year too by the distributors.
Interesting. I don't do anything with wax. I once in a while buy an old box to store, but not very much. But why do you say that? I don't follow that.
Well, years ago, on Sunday, late Saturday, Sunday, distributors would start discounting wax just to try to move it, so they don't have to haul it back. And you always know the next product's coming down the pike. You're going to be, and so it's kind of this wonderful opportunity. And that, that was gone 2021, 2022. That didn't really happen because of just the demand. They didn't need to discount boxes. And now with overprinting happening again,
people realizing how little value you get out of a box.
Yeah, and that's part of the kind of maturing as a collector too. I don't open wax at all unless I literally want to piss $20 away or whatever. Like,
Yeah, right. That's an okay reason.
Because you're going to get $5 back in value, and I do. I'm not saying I never open wax. That is not true, but it's very random, and I know I'm literally throwing the money away. So
yeah,
and that's okay. Like people can make that choice if you want, but the idea of buying wax as a moneymaker, I've learned, is not a good idea.
Yeah, the dealer I worked for when I worked at a card store in my teens for 3 years, and the dealer always told me, like, if you're buying wax, this was all the way back then, so it was the case. It's always been the case, or it's always been the case since, let's say, the mid '90s. He said, if you're buying wax, you're paying for the fun to open it. You're not paying for
right.
value.
It's pure entertainment, and if it'd be like going to a movie or anything else. If you want to entertain yourself for a little while and have fun sorting and all that, great. That's what wax is for.
Right.
It is not for, if you get lucky and hit the lottery and hit a great card, congrats, but don't expect that ever.
Right.
So like, I like Topps Holiday for some reason.
Okay.
I just think it's a fun product. It's one of those easy set to put together. It's usually, 200 or 300 cards, and I buy usually 4 or 5 boxes of it because I like the funny relics and the funny, parallels that they have. Mike Trout wearing a Santa hat,
like a snowman relic, and like
exactly
the winter sweater. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
do you own any vintage wax?
No, I mean, I have a couple of early '80s boxes that have been gifted to me that I haven't opened just because, like, they're just sitting right over there. But no, not really. I'd be too tempted to open it.
Okay.
I'd have too much fun with that. I'm not a vintage wax guy.
I had sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I told the story on my channel, but it was a long time ago. I bought me and Jeremy bought a 78 Topps wax case, and we sold we had it all authenticated, and we sold most of the boxes, but we decided to break one box to see how it would do. And at the time, the boxes were going for like, $1,500 a box or something. We opened the 36 packs of 1978 Topps. This was a few years ago. And I mean, we pulled probably $75 worth of cards out of it, and we were immediately like, "Why would we ever do this again?" Nothing was mint. We were like, we can grade. I think we sent like 4 cards in for grading. Carl Yastrzemski got like an 8. A couple things like that. There was just no return at all.
Yeah.
It
just goes to show we kind of maybe know what we're talking about. We've made those mistakes. Like, come on.
Yeah. Lots of them. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Hall of Fame real quick.
Let's do it.
Somebody just retired or got DFA'd yesterday. A player that I love, Nelson Cruz, got DFA'd yesterday by the Padres. And I'm like, I wonder if he's going to get picked up. And then I started looking at his baseball reference page. He's been a very good player for a really long time. He's 43 or whatever.
Yeah.
Nelly Cruz, is he a Hall of Famer to you?
He's not to me. No, he's not.
Okay.
Is he to you?
What kind of signals Hall of Famer to you?
You know what? I actually want to. So it's almost like a gut feel thing, right? Based on just following, and I don't follow as closely as I did back in the '90s. Like in the '90s, I'm very comfortable telling you this guy was a Hall of Famer, this guy wasn't. Here, I would want to like look at it further. But yeah, over the course of the last 10 years, 20 years, it just doesn't feel to me that he was a Hall of Famer. What about you?
Stats matter, longevity matters, but there's also the eye test, right? And the guys going in now, I've watched all of Nelson Cruz's career. From the 80s, I've been following baseball pretty intently, so I know all these players that are. Scott Rowland to me was never a Hall of Famer,
right?
As an example.
You know what I'm probably biased on, like card values. Like if Nelson Cruz is essentially a common. So to me, like, and Scott Rowland is essentially a common. Like, no, I'm not talking about his rookies. So that's sort of, I don't know if that probably shouldn't matter, but I'm sure I'm biased in that sense.
Well, I thought Fred McGriff was. When I watched Fred McGriff, I thought he was incredibly consistent and really good. And people, oh, he wasn't even the best player on his team, certain years or whatever. And I'm like, I watched the guy, and I'm telling you, I thought Hall of Famer. This
Fred
guy,
McGriff was a favorite to me too, yeah. And he was not a common during his playing days. Today, he probably is, but
right?
He was not during his playing days. So what you just said, I want to go back to because it's funny. You said you literally listed three things like longevity. What did you say? Longevity, greatness, and then the test.
Yeah.
I totally want to design. This is like a long-term dream project. I totally want to design a Hall of Fame criteria that factors in exactly those three things. Those are literally the three criteria. Although I would change eye test to something else like significance in baseball history or something, not necessarily the eye test, because I think the eye test is a lot harder than people realize. I mean, like, yeah, Fred McGriff, I followed his career, but did I watch 10% of his games? Definitely not.
Sure.
So yeah, but those are the three things, and I think a lot of people only focus on one. They'll be like, well, he had 300 wins, so he's a Hall of Famer. He had 3,000 hits, he had 3 MVPs, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. But I saw him play. But you got to factor all three in because all three matter.
Yeah.
And I like initially I feel like you have to check off two of them as like, yeah, you were a Hall of Famer in two of those three. And I don't know. I want to develop a real way to calculate if you're a Hall of Famer. I know that's not the right way to do it, but WAR is close. But I want to do it better than WAR.
Well, I think I've come up with a better way to think of WAR.
Yeah.
And I hear WAR talked about all the time. Which, by the way, diving into it, I think it's actually a pretty good statistic for. I'm not a big advanced metrics guy overall, but I do believe that it does a good job encompassing the value of that player in the era in which they played. So you can look at WAR and you can compare Ty Cobb, a pre-war player, to a modern player with WAR because it takes into account ballpark factors and the era in which they played. So
the average player in their era. Yeah.
Yes. The average player, and it goes year to year, the average player that year, so it's literally per year. And so during the 60s, late 60s, when it was a pitching, heavy type of era, the hitters are just compared with the other hitters having to face the pitchers on a higher mound and all the things that were going on that gave the pitchers a distinct advantage. And so that matters to me because it's hard to compare just raw numbers with, Ty Cobb versus Ichiro, for example. You can't. It's not even fair. Bigger league, more diluted pitching, there's 1,000 things that differentiate the time that they played. But WAR does a good job of that. But I think WAR is kind of misleading overall if you look at a player's career WAR because WAR is a cumulative statistic, right? The longer you play, the higher WAR you're going to have, assuming you're a reasonably productive player. You can have negative WAR for sure, but most players are adding little ticks to their WAR annually. So the longer it skews WAR, career WAR is skewed towards the players that play long time. What if you have a short peak? Or what if you're a Koufax type guy? Or even looking at modern players like Trout and guys that haven't played the entirety of their career. So I took WAR and I said, all right, great. The reason I did this, honestly, was Lou Gehrig, my favorite player of all time. For some reason, he's not talked about in the same breath as Ruth and Aaron and Mays, right? And I'm like, his career was cut short due to a debilitating disease. So he didn't get to play, and he still played 17 seasons. He played a long time. But what I said was WAR per plate appearance. That became like, okay, let's take longevity out of it and just divide their career WAR by their plate appearance. That means how impactful every time they were coming to the plate. That felt or feels like a more reasonable comparison.
Yeah. So I heard, I've heard you mention that before. And the first time I heard you mention it, I was like, wow, that is a groundbreaker. And how has nobody else thought of that? But so so war. I love war. I think the war stat is great. I would push back on the cumulative thing because it is a cumulative stat, but you have to be good to accumulate it. You can't. It's
Sure.
not like you can't be a mediocre player getting 150 hits every year and then suddenly you got 3,000, right? You have to, if you're a mediocre player, you don't accumulate anything. So you have to be good. So in that sense, I don't think that's like a problem of it. But I do like your take a lot. And I think it might be an improvement on it. Although although I'm not sure yet.
Well, you want to? I've put together my table, and I thought I could share it with you if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, so if you're listening on podcast, we'll do our best to talk through this a little bit. This is simply a spreadsheet that I did, and I'm using Baseball Reference WAR. I know there's different types of WAR that people look at. And so my chart here, I have a few columns. I've got their career WAR rank, so their cumulative WAR, where they rank career-wise, the player, how many years they played, if they're still active, what their age is, their career WAR, how many plate appearances they had, and then so that calculates. It's easy math, right? You take their career WAR divided by their plate appearances is WAR per plate appearance. It's not a hard math equation. I'm not doing long division here or anything. It's simple. And so what jumps out at you as you look at this list, just looking at kind of the first 20-ish or so?
Well, I mean, a lot of things. So Josh Gibson, number 2. Wow. I guess he had so few plate appearances, but okay. Babe Ruth, number 1, makes sense. Bonds. So here, so I love your stat. I'm not knocking it. The concern I have with it is it punishes longevity. Like if you're great for 10 years and then you retire, that's player A, or you're great for 10 years and then you're very good for 10 years, and that's player B. Player B is clearly better in the big picture, right? But player A would have a better WAR per plate appearance. Did you follow that?
Yeah. I mean, look at Trout. I mean, he's in his 13th season. He's injured now. He just got hurt. But he's number 4 all time in WAR per plate appearance.
Yeah. But like if Mike Trout retired today, no one would consider him the 4th greatest player ever.
Correct. But over time, and he's only got 6,400 plate appearances. His WAR per plate, he should get worse as he gets older, right? He's not going to be as productive, most likely.
Yeah.
He could buck the trend and be like a Barry Bonds, who did really well, or even Nelly Cruz, who has done well in his mid to late 30s. His WAR, he will fall down this list over time, is my prediction.
Right. It's same with like Mookie. I mean, Mookie Betts, number 17.
Yeah.
Like that. Who I don't even who's Willie Wells?
He's a Negro League player. So, when Major League Baseball, so is Turkey Stearns. He's number 10 all time in WAR. Right. So there's a lot of guys that are included in here. I don't know that Oscar Charleston is another one that's way up there, number 6. Sure. He's a
is Dan Brothers, or he's a
no, he's a pre-1900 guy.
Yeah.
Like he's an old school guy.
Yeah.
And so do I think Josh Gibson is the 2nd best player of all time? No, probably not. But and if you look at the WAR per plate appearance, the differences start getting very minuscule, except for the top 2 guys. Like Ruth and Gibson are.
Yeah, wow. Ruth, wow. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. They're 10, 15% ahead of number of Hornsby.
But
and it's amazing that Hornsby is that high. Like Hornsby would above Bonds. I just wouldn't have thought that was even in play.
and it's not even close, actually. That's a huge difference between 12.9 and 13.4.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a big difference, and because that's per plate appearance, like it's a
Right.
big deal. Hornsby's so underrated, but what this, I think, your takeaway from this is, wow, I need to rethink. Maybe, you look at Mantle's number 15. Everybody's always talked about how great Mantle is.
That's about where he is career WAR, right? Yeah, 16.
Yeah, he's 16 career WAR.
Yeah.
But Shoeless Joe Jackson is 111th in career WAR, but he's number 18 in per plate appearance.
Right, but still, he's a good example, right? I don't know when he retired, probably age 30, right?
Right.
The problem is a player like him, he doesn't deserve to be that high, because if he had played in his 30s, it would have gone down, right? And you can say that about Mookie Betts and Aaron Judge, wow. Like Trout, these, it like, you know what I'm saying? Like if a stat shows the right people at the top, then it's probably a great stat. This does this was a pretty interesting job. But that's my concern. Trout, Betts, Judge already being that high.
Well, you think about a DiMaggio, right? Who retired after 13 seasons. He didn't play 20 seasons,
right?
But he is 42nd all time in career WAR, but per plate appearance he's number 22. So his career looks, people are, oh, how great DiMaggio was. Well, if DiMaggio would have played 16 seasons, right?
Yeah.
He'd have a higher career WAR most likely, because he still would have been above average most likely.
Yeah.
But not per plate appearance. It would have started to diminish. Another, kind of the Shoeless Joe. Jackie Robinson is number 19 all time in career WAR per plate appearance. Only played 11 seasons, right? So I just think it's an interesting way to assess greatness. Right.
I think it's a really interesting way. Yeah. A very, very interesting take on WAR.
The great thing is nothing's perfect.
No, for sure. And so it actually raises an interesting question. Like, if you're an all-time great and you're sort of at the end of your career, and you can have a season where you put up like a WAR of 1. So you're an above average player, but you're not an all-star or anything. Like, does that add to your legacy or hurt it? Because if you go by career WAR, it would help it. If you went by this, it would actually hurt it.
Well, let's take Pujols, I think, as a recent great example.
I think if you're like having terrible seasons at the end, like Willie Mays or something, it probably hurts.
I'm looking to find where Albert Pujols is on this list. I probably already passed him.
Where's my boy Cal Ripken?
Cal is pretty far down. By the way, I did the top.
He had a lot of at-bats, a lot of plate appearances.
I did the top 500 players of all time.
Top 500, man, that's some quality. I should hire you on my research department.
Well, if I'm being honest, oh, by the way, the last guy,
Harold Baines, perfect.
Harold Baines.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Here's a great example of a player that gets too much credit. Harold Baines. Sorry, I'm going to just divert here for a second.
Yeah,
368th in career WAR, but he's 501 in WAR per plate appearance, meaning his career WAR. It's only because he played a long time that he's that high in career WAR per plate appearance. He was equal to Nick Markakis and Mickey Vernon.
Yeah.
Who no one would ever say are Hall of Famers, right? So.
No, in the 3-tier thing I came up with, or you came up with, and I agree with, he doesn't hit any of them.
Right. And yet he's got a bust in Cooperstown. Let's find your boy. We are looking at 500 names. But you'll see a lot of Hall of Famers really far down this list. Nellie Fox, Red Sheendienst, Luis Aparicio, guys that were like, yeah, that makes sense. They were more known. They were playing either, most of them were second baseman or shortstops back in a day when that wasn't a highly offensive position. Right. And so you got George Kell, up here, way down there, I guess I should say. But look at where Pete Rose is.
Wow.
So Pete Rose is number 41 in career WAR. But because he played so long, he's 419th. And
how was he like towards the end of his career when he was playing with like the Expos or whatever?
Very mediocre.
He was a mediocre. But he was probably getting like 1 WAR a season. Like he was above average. It was above average.
Yeah. And I would argue Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at his true productivity, which is really what this shows, how productive were they every time they stepped to the plate? Pete Rose is not very good. And that's going to be like blasphemy to some people.
Yeah, Moises was ahead of him. Yeah. Carney Lance.
Aguilar Ordonez is ahead of him. And Moises Alou and Lance Parrish, a light hitting catcher, in terms of every time they came to plate, you'd rather have Lance Parrish is basically what this says.
Wow, that's exactly correct. In an average over the course of his career, on the median at bat of Lance Parrish, you'd rather have him than the median at bat of Pete Rose, which is amazing.
He added more wins. Yes.
Wow. There's Nelly Cruz, right? Nelly Cruz is
Nelly Cruz is way down there.
Yeah.
So
how can that be?
I'm just telling you. It's just math. That's just doing the math.
That means, right? That's statistically what that means.
The math doesn't lie. That is statistically what that means. Now, again, nobody in their right mind, if you had a key at bat, would choose
Lance Parrish over
Pete Rose. And yet the stats would tell you should, right?
I'm trying to think where the flaw in the logic is, but yeah. I mean, Pete Rose, I'm surely had a better peak, right?
Of course, no doubt.
Yeah.
But this is over the
median
entire career.
The median at bat of their career. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave Winfield, 102 in career WAR, Hall of Famer. Nobody really questions that.
No, right.
But per plate appearance, he had a lot of mediocre seasons towards the end of his career that brings down that WAR per plate appearance, which is what we're talking about. I'm still trying to, like Eddie Murray.
Oh man,
76 in career WAR, but 370 in WAR per plate appearance.
Yeah. See, again, I feel like the stat punishes longevity a little too much. I don't know if there's a way to adjust for that, or if it should be adjusted or not. But do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of these guys who were good for a long time and then sort of mediocre at the end, just end up really low here.
I bet there is a way to adjust it. Now I'm thinking through this literally on the fly, but if you took their peak, if you took their 10 best seasons even,
right,
and then did WAR per plate appearance, would that be
you nailed it. or something like that. Yeah.
Because I do believe the WAR per plate appearance has some validity, right?
Yeah.
In terms of adding value. At the end of the day, you want to win games. And I'm still trying to find your boy.
He can't be this low.
No, I wouldn't think so. But
I mean, maybe he was.
Cal Ripken overrated, by the way.
No chance. That can be a different.
That's a whole nother podcast, right? Like Brooks Robinson's getting punished here. He's way down there on WAR per plate appearance.
Yeah,
but he was more defensive, right? So, and the Baseball Reference WAR does take defense into account. So, it kind of helps the overtly defensive players.
Right, but I think advanced. I might not be right about this. I think advanced statistics over recent years have shown that things like stolen bases are a lot less valuable than we used to credit them, and I think defensive too, maybe.
Right. Man, he must be up here.
There he is. Okay, he's still Hall of Fame worthy.
So yeah, career WAR 24th all time, but he's 118th in WAR per plate appearance. So he played a long time, his last few years, but he's above Ken Griffey Jr.
He's above Ken Griffey Jr.
in WAR per plate appearance.
So Ripken had some sort of duddish years towards the end, but I guess so did Griffey.
Yeah.
So I feel like there should be some way to filter that out, because when you think of the legacy of Ken Griffey, or is Ken Griffey a Hall of Famer? You don't consider his last few injury-riddled seasons where he wasn't any good.
Oh, Griffey's kind of inner circle guy, right?
Yeah, in what way?
Just inner circle Hall of Fame. He was that good. Like I
Oh
remember
yeah, first
Griffey
ballot.
just going,
First ballot,
being
no
good.
question. Yeah, Ripken was first ballot too.
Yeah, and should have been.
Yeah,
No question. Still he's overrated, but okay.
he just always threw up the Rangers. That's why you feel that way.
No, but like Adrian Beltre's,
Yeah,
you know, pretty much if you're in the top 100 WAR per plate appearance, you had a really good career. You know?
Is there anybody in the top 100? Is there anyone like in the top 50 who's not in the Hall of Fame?
So that's
Who's
not,
not like a
eligible.
Joe Jackson or a Barry Bonds type of thing.
Yeah, Pujols, by the way, number 20 all time in career WAR, 90th overall in WAR per plate appearance, but that's because he had some really bad years with the
cut out the last 5 years, and I bet he's like at the top of the list or near it. Or
right. You put his top 10, his top first 10 seasons, for example. Oh my gosh, he's got to be okay. Now you got me thinking about my next project.
Griffey, right? Same with Griffey, right?
Sure.
Griffey, Pujols, and that might happen to Trout. Trout might be going that direction too. Like best player in baseball for the first 10 seasons, and then by the end of it, sort of doesn't end up that high on this list.
Right. Scott Rowland, by the way, who we were talking about.
Okay, well, that's basically exactly where he was career WAR. So that's sort of line.
But he's above Chipper Jones. He's above Al Kaline, Mickey Cochran, Duke Snyder. All guys that you would say, yeah, they're all Hall of Famers,
No question, yeah.
So, okay,
so, yeah,
top 50.
Fred Dunlap.
Fred Dunlap's a pre-1900 guy, I think.
Okay.
But you've got a guy like Charlie Bennett. I have no idea who that is. Everybody else, Charlie Keller, who I don't know. But Alex Rodriguez, Kevin Kiermaier is in the top. He's 466 in career WAR, but man, per plate appearance, he's number 31 all time.
I gotta start picking up his rookies.
Right? I mean, actually a really high WAR per plate appearance.
Yeah, impressive.
Above Alex Rodriguez and Jimmy Fox and Eddie Matthews, Carlos Correa.
Carlos Correa. These will drop. Obviously.
Yes, they will drop. 100%. They will drop. Yeah. So yeah, other than they're all Hall of Famers, the Shoeless Joe Jackson's not.
Right. Or then there's Barry Bonds, obviously.
And Barry Bonds. So where do you stand on the PED guys?
I don't have a strong feeling. I see both sides. Sorry to have a boring answer. I completely see both sides. If it was truly up to me, I'd probably let him in, but I don't have a strong opinion about it. Yeah.
So finishing on the WAR per plate appearance, and I'll let you go. We'll wrap this episode up, put a bow on it. I think that all statistics need to be taken. There's no one perfect stat, right? So you kind of look at all of them in totality, and that forms the picture of what this player's career was like. And I think this is just another piece to that puzzle. WAR per plate appearance. I remember the first time I did it, and I've redone it since then, but I remember like Bobby Grich was like,
he's high.
Here he is. Yeah. He's number 52 all time in WAR per plate appearance. And I never thought of Bobby Grich as a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's above Wade Boggs, for crying out loud.
In WAR per plate appearance?
Yes.
Oh wow! Because his WAR is quite high. He's one of the highest WAR guys to not be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and he would be a guy that if he got in, I wouldn't be upset. We can always tell he's way more valuable to his team than Harold Baines was, but see, Harold Baines ruined it for everybody. Right now, everybody should get in, but. Again, it's not perfect. I'm not saying it's the end all be all. I think it's another component to consider when evaluating a player's career and their Hall of Fame worthiness, or just their impact at the game. Right.
Yeah.
It just got me thinking it's going to be funny to see, or interesting, just not funny, but interesting to see how it changes over time, right? For the current players that are playing.
Yeah.
So definitely some work to be done. Obviously down below, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, would love to hear your thoughts. And if you're listening on podcast and didn't see any of that, go watch it on YouTube on Bench Clear Media you can see everything that Chris and I were looking at as we were scrolling through it. But I'm glad you at least find there's some value there, Chris. I appreciate that.
I do. I think there's a lot of value there. I would love to. I'm not giving this assignment to. I would love to see that done over just their 10 best years, and then in the three-pronged, are they a Hall of Famer? That would sort of represent their short-term greatness, maybe, as the answer is, if they're a Hall of Famer on that prong.
Well, that may not be an assignment that you overtly gave me, but I'm taking it. And
oh no, you're taking it. How long is that? Is that like an hour project, or is that like 2 days?
Gosh, to do 500. Well, I got to go through, because maybe not all their. Do I need to do 10 consecutive years, or can it be their 10 best seasons? Just in war.
I don't know. That's a good question. I hadn't thought about it enough.
I think I just take their 10 best war seasons.
Yeah. Because
easier to figure out.
There you go. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you want to take on that project, that would be amazing. But
all for you, Chris. Just because you've challenged me, you've laid the gauntlet down. I need to do that. But
right.
Man, thanks for. This is your first Golden Age of Cardboard, I think, episode.
No, I was on. It was quite a long time ago at this point, but yeah.
Well, we need to make that more regular than less regular.
Sure.
I'm ready to take on Jeremy again on another.
He wants a rematch, or he wants to offer a rematch.
I'll take it. If you don't watch Chris's channel, you've been hiding under a rock. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Baseball card collector, investor, dealer, and sometimes we do game show type things. And Mike took on Jeremy at one point. It was a very close battle, but Jeremy eked out the win in like a baseball card vintage trivia game.
Yeah, we'll have to do that again. Maybe we do that as a Golden Age episode.
That would be cool.
Especially as a vintage thing. But I want to take you on too. I challenge you.
Well, we got to get Jeremy to host then, or that's
I can find a host. But I'll already tell him what the questions are.
The questions, yeah.
You did have some good questions. So go check out Chris's channel if you haven't. You definitely should be following him. He does a lot of great different kinds of things on his channel, puts a lot of content out there. I think you'll enjoy it. So Chris, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, really fun. Thanks for having me as always.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Keep collecting.